I'm so happy to see you today. Thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi today. I wished I could have talked to you every single day this last week. I just missed you so much, and there's so much going on. I hope you all had a good week because my week was just off the charts. You know, my son is getting married in 7 days, and everything has fallen into place. And I'm so excited, and I'm a little nervous. I'm a little scared, and I'm so happy. I can't wipe the smile off my face. It's funny. You know, whenever I get a little nervous about an event, it seems like the anticipation always makes me more concerned than the actual event. The day of the event, I'm cool as a cucumber. But it's that anticipation. Are you like that? A lot of you have been with me for almost 10 years, and you saw me 10 years ago coming off a divorce. I lived in a tiny little apartment, and I was so lonely and so lost and scared. I didn't know how to cope without being married to my husband. And it's been a long journey. And we always talk about the mistakes that we made and how we learn from this and we learn from that, and oh, this was painful. But what about all the things that we do right? What about the things that we did right that allowed us to survive and thrive? What are the things that you have done right that has allowed you to have a good life? We always seem to go to the negative, don't we? We will remember a negative comment more fiercely than a positive one. I don't want to do that today. I want to know everything that you think you did right that helped your life. And today I want to share with you a few things that I actually did right that helped me rebuild my life. And I don't want to preach to you. I just think that maybe by sharing some of the things that I did right, and boy, I know I did a lot of things wrong, but by sharing what I did right, maybe you'll think to yourself, you know, I could do that. I didn't even think of that. I could do that because that happens to me all the time. We care about each other. We learn from each other. So that's what I want to talk about.
Laying on the sofa, a cup of orange juice in my hand, waiting for some thunder, fireworks, some fun. I haven't been feeling it lately. Technology, come and help me. I just wanna feel a bit naughty. Think I'm gonna paint him in 3D. He will give me his love and all the loving that I'm needing. 'Cause the way he feels is almost real, and I'll keep going that way. I'm needing for love and for my liking. Tailor made him. All my friends are dating.
10 or 12 years ago, my life was in shambles. I can't sugarcoat it. Every way a woman can get knocked down, I got knocked down. And what I did was I played the blame game. Everything that ever happened to me was my fault. Nobody else's fault. Nobody contributed to anything but me. It was all my fault. And I looked at myself as being less than, not living up to the other women that I knew in my life, and that made me withdraw. And then one day, I did something right. And I realized that yes, I made mistakes, and yes, I was a very flawed person, and I always will be. But most of the time, 99.9% of the time, I will always try to do the right thing. And that is a fact, and that is true. Yes, I am flawed, but I do try to be better. And when I screw up, I do try to make it right. Somehow through the grief and through the panic, the anxiety, we have to truly see ourselves in a much different light. We are not defined by our failures. We are defined by how we get up and we keep fighting. We are nobody's victim. I don't know what it's like to be a damsel in distress. I saved myself from you. The next thing I did right is I got out of my own way as a woman. Now, I was raised, you have to have a soft voice and you have to be feminine. And my mama even told me once that I better keep my figure because if they take you to the emergency and you're overweight, they won't try to save your life. My mother actually told me that. So I'm dieting, I'm 10. I was raised that a woman needs to be pretty much seen and not heard, that a woman's value is in her face and in her figure. I was married almost all my life. I didn't think that I could make it without a husband. I was 58 years old when I landed in my little apartment. I was 60 years old when I started my YouTube channel, and I still felt young. I felt that, well, if I fix this and fix that, I'll meet a nice gentleman and we'll get married and I won't have to be scared anymore. My destiny is in a man's hands. And I believed that until I didn't. And I realized 2 or 3 years into living alone that, wait a minute, I got food on the table. My dog has food. I'm starting to live life, and I kind of like being single. I kind of like not being yelled at, not being told what to do. This isn't half bad. Wait a minute. I've got a little bit of money in the bank. I don't have to be married to be safe. I don't have to be married or have a boyfriend to be happy. I don't have to see myself through a man's eyes to have value. So that was one thing that I truly did right. I started to see myself in a whole different way, not only as a strong woman, but as a strong person, a person that could control her life. And it didn't have anything to do with a soft voice or a little waist or the latest haircut. It had to do with who I was as a human being, what I could accomplish. It made all the difference in the world to me. And I know maybe a lot of you always felt that from the time you were a little girl. You were strong. I wasn't. I believed my mom when she told me I needed to go to college to meet a man and get married. I believed that. Always 2 steps behind your man, because without him you're nothing. That's a lie. I learned the hard way. That's a lie, but like anything else, you grow up. Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. We might be ragged and funny, but we're traveling along, singing a song, side by side. The third thing I did right was money. Now, have you ever noticed that a lot of these money gurus, I love Susie Orman, and I used to watch her all the time when I was dead broke. And she would always look into the camera. I love her. And she would say, now you take your $10,000 and you move it over into a Roth IRA. And I was just like, honestly don't think that a lot of people realize what it's like to be poor, what it's like to be a senior citizen on Social Security. $10,000? Are you joking? I mean, most people that I know, most women I know that are on Social Security are getting less than $700 a month to live on. And they are making choices like medication or food. So you feel when suddenly you're single and you're going to be collecting Social Security, but you've got to take care of yourself, and you have this tiny, tiny little income because you don't have a degree in anything, and you're trying to figure out how to get back on your feet financially. Your $10,000 in a Roth IRA, that's not going to quite cut it. Well, what I did is I never thought of myself as poor. I just thought of myself as temporarily financially challenged. And I always had this feeling in my gut, and I never fought it. I had this feeling in my gut, I'm going to be all right. I just know I'm going to have enough money to take care of myself and my doggie. And what I started to do is, after a few years on YouTube, I started to save. I could save maybe $150 to $200 a month every month. Well, I know that doesn't sound like hardly anything, but to me it was the world. And I started to enjoy saving money more than shopping and spending money. So I did something right. I kept at it and I kept saving those little amounts. And then after a few years, I had saved up $6,000. And then a little bit more and a little bit more, just on these small, little, incremental deposits and saving. And that made me feel so powerful. It made me realize that with a little patience and a little discipline, I can do this. And eventually, as the years went on, I saved up enough to buy a house for me and Desi. So the one thing I did right wasn't so much where I worked or how much I was able to save. It was just the mere fact that I realized for the first time that money has power and that money accumulates. And the longer it goes, the more patient you are, the more disciplined you are, the more you love saving more than spending, your life becomes more of your own. And no, money can't buy you happiness, but what money can do, it can take a lot of your anxiety away when you're really truly worried. How am I going to pay that electric bill? How am I going to make that car payment? People forget. People who are in the very lowest income bracket, they're not lazy. They're not losers. Bad things happen to good people. There was a lot of tragedy. The pain of losing my mom and losing my husband. And when I look back on those videos, I didn't allow myself to feel so much. But when I look back on those old videos, I feel that pain now. I get very wistful and I get teary-eyed every single time I might watch an old video. So I don't. Unless I have to, and people will leave comments, and then I try to answer, and then I kind of find myself lingering and watching a bit of it and getting teary. But there's one thing that I did right back then that probably was the most important thing I did. I didn't give up on myself. I didn't let all those things that defeated me define me. There was tragedy after tragedy, but I still felt I could rise above. And there were many decisions that I had to make. And those decisions seemed overwhelming, but you know how people always say, go with your gut, go with your heart, go with what feels right. Well, no, that was very bad advice for me. It seemed that I was so damaged and so wounded that every decision I made was wrong. And I did it over and over again. And I realized, okay, I am not making any decisions with my gut or my heart. When I'm in this condition, when I am this sad and broken, I am going to make decisions with my mind, with my brain. I'm going to think through every decision I make, every which way from Sunday. I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to make the sound decision that is going to be the safest for me so I can survive, so I can be whole. You know, I didn't have any family in my city. My son was up north, and he was so busy. He was constructing a restaurant from scratch. And he was doing it on a shoestring. And people were telling him, oh, forget it. Well, I wasn't going to lean on my son. I didn't have family. I was on my own. And the friends I did have, I thought they saw me in such a diminished light. They didn't, but I thought they did. And I saw myself through their eyes. I thought they're seeing me as someone who's a loser. And I hate that word because I never look at people like that. And I didn't give my friends enough credit because I wasn't thinking clearly because I was so upset. So I had to make sure until I healed up that I made decisions with my brain, not with my heart. It wasn't a time to follow dreams. It was a time to follow life, a life I could survive, a life I could come out the other side of this road I would choose, a woman that was strong and whole, a woman that could not only help herself but help others, that I could build a life I could be proud of. But those decisions had to be sound. My life had to be rebuilt brick by brick by brick. There was no time for dreams. There was time. It was a time to heal. And I did. But the whole time I felt, once I get this foundation under my feet, I can dream again. And that's exactly what I did. So I guess all I would say is never give up on yourself. Never. Never see yourself through other people's eyes. And maybe you don't have the luxury of dreaming right now, but I guarantee you will. Oh yeah, you will. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I just loved every second of it. I wish I could see you every single day for the next 6 days. I am probably not going to be back for another 2 weeks, but I'm going to try to get a few maybe little shorts up for you, just so you know Desi and I are doing okay. Hal's going to be here in a few days, and the rest of the family will be here by Thursday, so it's going to be one heck of a week. And please know how much I appreciate you, I love you, and I thank you for everything that you've done. Now, can you please, if you have time down below, could you share some of the things that you have done right in your life that has made you a better woman or even a better man. How about that? What do you think, Des? Please have yourself a wonderful, happy, brand new week. And when you're done with your week, you come back and see me and Desi, all right? All right, it's a deal. We'll be here. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
On the sofa, cup of orange juice in my hand.
Hail off, salute me, then haul off and boot me. Just get me to the church on